Hey folks, welcome back. It's the big barn build. Today the sun is nearly out, it's nearly summer, so we're going to fit a wood burner. Stick around, let's make a start. So interestingly, hindsight hit us again, and we were going to build this all in metal sledwork with some fireboard where the stove's going. So we cut out, and then we thought, well, we've got blocks, we've got sand and cement, we shouldn't block work. So we're just going to do a block work wall up to here, tie it into that wall like we put those little starters in, and we'll put a plate on the bottom here so it'll be linked to that as well. And then when we put the pink plasterboard on here, we can just plaster all the way down over the lot, and it just means we've got no non-combustibles within 450 of this. So Tom's knocking up a batch of muck out there in the wheelbarrow. I'm going to start chopping the blocks. The stove sits around here, and this pencil line is the hearth dimensions. We're actually going to cut a mark into our slab here. More on that later in the video. But for now, we just need to get this block wall started. So we've got a little short cut of a block there, and then it'll be the same each side all the way up. And then I think we're either ending up on a full block or a common. Right, today is a new day, and it's an exciting day because there is a huge amount going on. It's one of those expensive days when you add it up as well. But we've got a wood burner being installed in here. We've done all the prep, so we're going to carry on with that. Hopefully hand it over to him. We might have to help with the roof bit. And then we have some more plumbing going in, which will be a separate video, and then some other bits outside. Right, install day for the stove. So everything has gone in, apart from the direct air supply. I'll show you that in a minute. But the guys just fit the actual stove. We bought this plinth. This plinth just kind of makes it look a little bit more in keeping with the height of the ceiling. And we've also we've marked up where our essentially our hearth is. You have to put a visible line. It doesn't make sense for us to do a raised hearth, even though we could add one if we wanted to. So we've got it marked out, and once I know they're happy, we're going to cut that line in, and we're going to do something funky with that in the future, but more on that later in the video. Well, it's absolutely tipping it down rain outside now, but it's feeling quieter. We're working in the kitchen today, but that's going to be for a future video. For now, let me share with you the wood burner. Look at that! How exciting is that? All in one day as well. It's all in place. I'm going to just finish marking up that half there. We can then decide what we're going to put in there. Now maybe you can give me some opinions. We're going to cut the line in, so that's basically the width, the kerf of the blade, which is I guess about 2.5 millimeters or so, same as the expansion joins everywhere else, or the control joins. What do we put in there? I mean, you could, I guess, put epoxy or something in any colour, but I kind of like the idea of just inlaying some steel or brass or copper, or ideally actually something that we can put in there pretty much flush, but then when we polish the floor it'll end up completely smooth and stand out. So maybe brass, I assume. Well, is brass soft? It is pretty soft, isn't it? So if I show you the cut on the other part of the floor, then you can let me know what you think might work here. So here's what they look like. Obviously ours is full of dust, we need to blow it out. So we're going to have a really neat straight line. We'll cut on the track saw like before, so that'll come out bordering the hearth to show that area, and then we can just sit something nice and neatly in there. Maybe we need to epoxy it in place, I don't know, but it'd be good if we can get it really flush. We're going to back all this out. That's why we've got that nice adjustable flue at the bottom. That bottom section is almost telescopic, so we can slide that up, take the stove out the way, do all the flooring, plastering. There's some glass board that we're going to put on here as well, so it'll all just look seamless to the floor, nice and simple. And then we can get this done. We can come through with the diamond discs, polish the whole floor, and hopefully just end up with a nice bit of polished metal of some sort in there. Well, there we go. The wood burner is in, and we've had it going a few times. And yes, I should probably finish the video with a big warm toasty fire behind me, but you know, it's getting late and that seems a little bit over the top. So we'll save that for another day. But this stove is called a Burley Hardwick, from memory. And Burley are a UK built stove, and they're renowned for being very, very efficient. So this is possibly even the most efficient stove you can buy from the marketing I was reading. So regular wood burner as far as allowing the air control down here, and just normal fire open ceiling here. Now that means that's relatively sealed from the room, and like I was briefly explaining, we've put an air kit on this, so that's going to be ducted out through into the other room, which has its own vents to outside. So that means that we're not pulling warm air out of the house, because if you think about how much air, I mean actually just by putting your hand on the back of the 80mm pipe coming out there, it's crazy how much air is sucked up while it's burning. And of course it's all well and good warming your room, but if you're pulling warm air out at the same rate, you're kind of doing yourself an injustice by losing the heat that you've created. Also, if you don't have this shut, so your vent shut, and you didn't have an external air supply, when it blows outside and when it's windy, it's insane the amount of air that you lose up a flue, especially if you had an open fire, which is why open fires are just the worst possible thing for the efficiency of a building. I mean, they get good air exchange going, but they don't do your heating bills any good. So when this was being installed and the flue was, the stove wasn't in yet, it was a pretty windy day. And if you put a piece of paper underneath this flue, the wind was such that as it blew over the cowl on top, it would suck a whole sheet of paper up against it and hold it there, which is probably no different, if not more, than having a full-blown extractor fan running constantly. So that's why we decided to run that external air duct out the back, and it is becoming more and more common. Now we did that at the old house and we didn't need to do it for air tightness, but I did, for the same reason, feel like it was a good addition. I think the kits are like 70 or 80 pounds, but there's something quite nice knowing that all you're getting off this is the heat, and you're not having to worry about your air being sucked up or whatever, whether it's while the fire is running or just when you're not using it and having that constant air leaking out the house. Now, hopefully it was a clever decision to go with the block. What we realised is actually, after this was running for a few hours on the install day, in the evening I came out here, a good couple of hours after the fire had gone out, and that was lovely and warm. So we've given ourselves the added benefit of having basically a night storage heater behind here. So yes, the slab takes on heat during the day from solar gain and other heat, But actually this is a nice bit of thermal mass in there, so that'll charge up when we're using the wood burner and then just give a bit of heat off as well. Now we're going to actually, I talked about rendering that and skimming down, so we'd be in line with the plasterboard above, but actually what we're going to do is use a glass fibre board, which Robbo, who installed this, advised that you can actually get a nice smooth one, and we can put that there, feather it in to the plasterboard and then paint that directly. So that just means it will just look like a nice simple wall behind. We're not looking to put any sort of stone or brick or anything up there. We want to keep it quite simple without igniting the fire in the comment section, because everyone seems to have an opinion on these things. Now, I think if you are on the gas grid or on grid and you're in a middle of a city, there's an argument for against a wood burner. But I think out here with our own source of wood, in a situation where this really gives off enough heat for our whole building, the argument is more for than against. It's room sealed. We haven't got to worry about issues with air quality internally. The flue itself is also a benefit to us, something I've learnt during this process, which is Martin, who we got the stove from, had someone look into the figures of what this flue does as far as heat being emitted into the room. We've got a 5 kilowatt stove here, which is pretty ordinary and average size for a building or for a room even. But we've also got 4 meters, almost 4 meters of exposed twin wall going up to the roof. Now he reckons for every meter of flue, you're gaining nearly a kilowatt of heat into the room. So you're not far off doubling our heat output if we wanted to, if this was going full chat. Because these do get hot, you're not going to burn your hand on there, but it's as hot as a radiator, and that's quite a bit of surface area. And of course, for us, it's in this big open void, which is going to help naturally convect some of the heat up into the upstairs areas. So before we even think about what the MVHR might do by helping move air around the house, we've naturally got a way that all that heat's going to start kind of flowing up and over there. And I don't know how it's going to perform. We'll just have to wait and see. But this is not a cold building in here, even without any heating on. So we'll have to see how this goes. But there it is, wood burner in. But I leave you with a little sneak peek of what we've been up to around the farm with all this firewood, because we will put the main video over on the farm channel. If you want to check that out, I'll link to it down in the description, and you can see what all the processing was like. But we've now got, years worth of wood, and there's still trees down there. So we've got several years worth of wood for us and other family members in the area to keep the heating going. So more of that, less of the air source heat pump demand. Hopefully it's a nice move more towards a bit more self-sufficiency, not only food and power on the farm, but also heat from the wood on the farm. But anyway, that's the dream. We're getting there slowly, and hopefully you can keep following along, seeing how we get on with the rest of this in the next few weeks, because we've set ourselves some deadlines which we'll be sharing with you. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.